welcome to yet another live interview show with Become a Fearless Father. And today I'm accompanied by Mohammed Sheikh. Mohammed, thank you so much for hopping on. I really appreciate it. For all of you that are watching this and watched an hour and a half ago and thinking like, wow, Klaas, your energy is low. It's not my energy, it's my voice. I got my kids sleeping now. So I like to keep them sleeping and hopefully get them overcome their colds, which is the season, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Pleasure is mine, brother. Pleasure is mine. So for those people, I know Mohammed already a little bit. I had the pleasure of being on Akbar Sheikh's event where Mohammed was and a speaker and just present every single day, and we connected. So this is going to be more connection here, more great questions, more great answers, hopefully. We're going to absolutely rock it. So let's start with the first thing, man, because this is big, right? Change. People are so afraid of change, right? I specifically always talk about the zombie that is kind of like just going through life. No, he has to change, but something is holding him back, right? So let's talk about the concept of how does one start creating life-changing moments, right? Flip it around.
Yeah, you know what? The beautiful question. And I mean, there's a lot to unpack here, but just so I can really, summarize this, very simply put, the short answer is reality, or rather your reality or your experience of reality is nothing more than the stories that you tell yourself. Right? So if you start telling yourself different stories, it's going to have an impact on the reality that you're able to create for yourself. You're able to consider your ability, right, to actually manufacture. But the more longer answer is, yeah, change. Of course, it is scary. It is difficult because we are not wired to be. Our most basic wirings at the subconscious level, it's not one to set us up for happiness or set us up for wealth or set us up to have like the best relationships or the best health. I mean, our base wiring is about survival, right? And therefore, when we know something, even when we know that we're doing something that's not really good for us, right? Whether that's a dead-end job or a dead-end relationship or a dead-end diet or whatever it is. But because it's familiar, we know that, hey, at least we're alive. Whereas the unknown always comes with, well, I don't know, that could be potentially worse. And at the same time, the beautiful thing I think that we have been gifted, and I consider it a gift, is that inner voice that is always calling us to, our full potential, is always guiding us. And, when we don't listen to that inner voice, it creates this angst, right? It creates this anxiety. So it's almost like we have to, kind of go towards that change as well. But you're absolutely right. So many people, they're walking through life and they're going through life in this sort of zombie mode. And, part of it's no fault of their own. It's just, I mean, the world, the way it's designed, right? That has a lot to do with it. But, also understand that we're not individuals. For example, I'm a hypnotist. It's one of the things that I do, and you know that. And so people will be like, Mohammed, can you help me rewire my brain? And, my first answer, well, I mean, the short answer again is yes, but, my answer is, well, the thing is, we're talking about rewiring, but most of us haven't actually wired our brains to begin with. Most of us are nothing more than the product of just society and culture and what our teachers have said, what our friends have said, what our parents have told us, the expectations around us. And we're just kind of going through it. Exactly. You put it so beautifully, the zombie mode, right? Whereas when was like the first time or the last time even where we consciously sat down and asked ourselves and took some moment and made space to listen to that inner voice and just asked ourselves, well, what do we actually want to wire our thoughts and our emotions and our state towards, right? So putting that all together, reality, if you were looking for change, listen to that inner voice, change the stories that you're telling yourself. And when you can really work on that at the belief level, especially, it will, and I promise you that it'll translate into behavioral change as well. But it starts at a very unconscious belief level, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, you share tons of stuff that's very important. We're going to go a little deeper.
Yeah.
All those people that are now like, right? Oh, wow. Let's share. But who is this Mohammed, right?
Yeah.
Please share with the audience who you are, what you do, and as entrepreneur, that's right. It's always important for me, at least. I find it important to know also, like, what's your marital status,
Yeah.
and of course, how many kids you got, how old are they, all that good stuff, right?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Absolutely. So I've been married since the age of 23, right? So we're going on about 13 years now, 14 years now. And I have a 10-year-old son, right? So we have just the one, and he's an absolute, it's beautiful because I see him, and he is really the result of being raised in an environment of love and attention, right?
Wow.
Not like helicopter parenting or anything like that. He's quite independent, and usually we let him kind of do his thing, but just, to create that space for him and that foundation of that, hey, we're here, yet at the same time, it is a home. At least I like to think so. I mean, it's a lot of work, but to have that love and that just the right vibration in the home, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's me from a I guess a family standpoint. Other than that, yeah, like I have an IT background. I got a little bit of my story, right? I dealt with my own issues in my early 20s. I had anxiety so bad that it actually took someone that was a 90 student in school and turned him into a dropout,
Wow.
right? And it was ultimately getting involved in NLP in my mid 20s that I really understood that concept of the stories that I was telling myself are the ones that are useful. The stories that I've been telling myself are keeping me in my past. And the stories that I was telling myself were actually limiting me in just the part of my history that had to do with dropping out of school and the anxiety, as to the whole me, which was, there's still everything else that came before that. And even during that, the part of me that still dreams and everything, right? So it gave me that awareness, but it also gave me that methodology, the actual recipe, step by step, on how do I actually go about in changing those thoughts and those beliefs. And from NLP, my background, and if you guys are really interested, just go to my website,
There you
right?
go.
And you can read like the whole bio. But that's kind of cool. Yeah, I love the tech. I'm also a tech guy, right? So I love the technology piece, right? I got into hypnosis. I'm a certified trainer with HeartMath Institute. They're doing beautiful, phenomenal work about the energetics of the heart. I am trained by energy workers. I know faster EFT, I've got some dabble in nutrition and stuff like that. Basically, it's all about transformation. It's all about change. And it's all about really teaching people how to fish rather than giving them fish, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that one. I like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So from this story that you just shared, I immediately have an extra question, because earlier you mentioned, like, we really have to learn to listen to our inner voice, right? Yeah. All right. So, but at the same time, you're telling, like, but I'm telling myself stories, right? So what's the difference at a certain point of, the stories I tell myself and the inner voice, right? How do I distinguish one from the other to make sure that, I can make that positive change happen, right?
Yeah. Awesome question. Actually, I really like that question. So I'm going to give you the example of someone that comes to me for anxiety. Right now, what I explain to them, they think the problem they have is anxiety. And they want to get rid of the anxiety. And if you go to a doctor, they will give medication to deal with the anxiety. And I come and I say, listen, we shouldn't be trying to get rid of the anxiety. We should send love and appreciation and gratitude to the anxiety. And they think I'm crazy.
Yep.
The reason I say that is because we have to understand that, first of all, the reason anxiety exists, it's actually a good thing. We want the anxiety. We do not want to turn our ability to produce anxiety, because anxiety is what keeps us safe. Like having a fire alarm in the house. If you get rid of the fire alarm, well, we don't know if there's something wrong, right? But yes, understanding that if the fire alarm is going on when there's actually no fire, okay, that's annoying, right? And that's what's happening with these individuals, is they have anxiety going on when there's no need to have that anxiety, right? So yes, the problem in a way is anxiety, but to understand that that's nothing wrong with them, is just that it's giving a communication that is not in proportionate to the actual thing. But to listen, the reason my body's producing anxiety is because there's a deeper rooted issue that needs to be addressed. And if we just medicate or numb or just deal with the anxiety piece and not actually address the real thing, the body is going to find a different way to send that communication to you, right? And usually that's why the anxiety gets worse, or it comes in another form of illness or disease, right? So that's what I mean by listening to yourself, listening to that inner voice, listening to the body, right? I mean, this is just a model, of course, right? I don't hear voices. But it's like paying attention to what's really going on, because there's always a deeper wisdom, right? And we can really access that when we take a moment, and especially when we can shift into a state of gratitude. Now I can make the assumption, because you're working and doing amazing work, Klaas, with fathers, right? That we're all fathers here. And so, the feeling that you get when you're holding your baby, even if that baby is 10 years old in my case, I can still kind of close my eyes and just hold him, right? I'm very fortunate that he still lets me hold him at this age, right? But just to get back into that state, the feeling that we feel when we get into that state, from the research that they're doing over at HeartMath Institute, it actually also opens us up to really listen and be more aware of that inner voice, that intuitive voice, right? And so we can really understand that, okay, you know what? The things that I'm worried about, the things that are causing me stress, the things that I think I need to address, really in the grand scheme of things, they're not as important. But I can access that voice through first taking a moment to just generate genuine gratitude, right? Or appreciation or care, and thinking of your child, holding them. That's like a surefire way of doing that, right? For most people, right? So that's listening to the voice, but yet at the same time, understanding that sometimes that voice is saying something that is no longer true. Right? So this is an example of a person who, let's say when he was 11 years old in grade 6, was the class clown, always interrupting, always cracking jokes. And in that grade, it served him really well. It made him popular, with the girls. It made him cool with the guys and everything. The teachers hated him, right? But he got a big payoff. So there's a part of his subconscious that has learned that being the troublemaker gets him a good result. But now this person is in his 30s or in his 20s, and that part is still firing the same strategy, but it's no longer serving him in life or her, right? And this is an opportunity now to update that voice and to change those beliefs that, yeah, it made sense. It's no longer true. We're not in grade 6 anymore, right? And so that's the balance between being aware of what's really going on, and also understanding that there are things and parts and voices and beliefs that are no longer true, no longer serve us, and perhaps got us to this level, but aren't going to get us to this level.
Exactly.
Right? So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love it. It gets actually more questions, but that's to be expected. If not, we'll be done in 5 minutes. That's not the idea. So when you mentioned, like, you're talking about you're holding your son, right, and you get into a certain state, and I immediately started thinking, because one of the first things that I have the people that I connect with do is write out their visions for certain areas in their life, right?
Beautiful.
But I tell them, to do that, you got to be in, like, in a euphoric state. You got to be in a positive, happy, great state, because if you're not, right, if you're in a negative state, your vision is going to be less beautiful as we want to have it, right? Yeah. So I think you're the perfect guy to ask, like, what would be some great ways some strategies or some hacks or whatever you want to call it to get yourself just exactly in that, right? In that state, just straight, happy, smiling, and just excited about, wow, I'm going to write out my vision for my relationship, for example, right? How do I want a perfect relationship to look like, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely, right? And so a little bit of neuroscience for you. Now, we understand, I think, just intuitively the power of visualization. It really is a form of hypnosis, right? So all visualization, all meditation is hypnosis, but not all hypnosis is meditation, and not all hypnosis is necessarily visualization, right? But the power of the imagination, we know that when we can imagine being in a certain place, we start feeling the feelings now. Right? A bit of neuroscience on that is that we have these two neurons in our brain called the mirror neurons. And that part of the brain cannot tell the difference between watching something and actually doing something. For that part of the brain, it's the same thing. And that's really what explains and helps us understand why, from a scientific background, why we can produce the emotions, right? When we're thinking of something, or when we're watching like a movie and there's an action scene, and even though we're seated comfortably on our sofa, our heart rate has actually gone up because we're watching this action scene, because for that part of the brain, we're in the car going 200 miles an hour, right? So there's that. Now, the exact methodology, the how-to, is understand that all of our memories, there's always an emotional component, one attached to it, but the building blocks of memory and experience has to do with the senses. Now, the five senses, you have your visual, auditory, kinesthetic, your gustatory, your olfactory, taste and smell. You can take the last two and really kind of put them aside. So you're left with VAK, what you see, what you hear, and what you feel, right? So you can simply do an exercise, and let's do it. It's going to take 30 seconds right now, right? Yeah. For everyone that's watching, right, or will be watching on the replay, go ahead in this moment, go ahead and close your eyes. And just imagine, in whatever way makes the most sense to you, imagine that you're right there, maybe holding your child in your arms, a certain memory that pops up, whatever wants to pop up. But from this place, notice what the world looks like through the eyes of this love. Notice the colors and the shapes. Notice what you focus on. Notice what the world sounds like through the ears of love. The voices around you, the sounds around you, perhaps any inner dialogue, anything you say to yourself, if anything. And notice how this love feels in your body, this connection. Perhaps it's a feeling that's all over, or perhaps it's a feeling that's in one particular place. And really, if you get into the pictures and the sounds and the feelings, if you allow yourself now to imagine that as you take a deep breath in now, you can breathe more of that love in, and as you exhale, anything that's not that, just let it out and make the pictures brighter, make the sounds louder. And just hold on to that. Now imagine if you did this every morning, in the middle of the day, every night. So you can go ahead and whenever you're ready, open your eyes, right? But it's so simple, but that's the exact recipe. And that's one of the things, I always say this to people is like, everyone talks about you need to have more confidence, you need to have more assertiveness in life, you need to have more gratitude in life. But no one's teaching the how. So this is the how. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Here's the recipe, right? That's it. You just basically imagine an experience that you've had, right? Or what it would be like. That's fine, right? And you bring in the senses, see the pictures, hear the sounds, feel the feelings. If you can get the body into it as well, that's just another layer. But that's it. Bring in the senses, see the pictures, hear the sounds, feel the feelings, and you will get that state. And that from that state, absolutely, I love what you're doing. You get them to vision the sort of life that they want, and what they're actually doing is they're programming their subconscious, right? Go out and seek that. Love it.
Yeah. Perfect, man. Yeah, I appreciate you doing the exercise. I love that because this becomes really helpful for people to get in that state, right? I mean, I felt it. So for people that want to know, like, what were you thinking of? For me, it was everybody has seen now my picture, right? The drawing of me with my two boys. Well, that's a real picture, of course, in the playground where we were playing and we were taking lots of pictures when my parents were there. And it just was pure joy, right? So that really helps.
Yeah.
And now I know, like, the state that I'm in now, I can't, like, that's the state that you must be in to write out your vision, right? Because it's like you see more, you get more, which then after that, reading that every day gets you more and more. So yeah, absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's all about states, right? Your states, everything else comes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm trying to see if I'm gonna, because I got a ton of more questions, people. I'm struggling here, but let's do the golden nugget as we discussed before we went live, right? Let's give you the opportunity to share whatever golden nugget you would like to share with the audience, with our fellow entrepreneur dads, and probably have to schedule again probably at the end of this year to do another.
Yeah, no, this has been an absolute pleasure and an absolute honor. Honestly, the golden nugget is, don't live your life based off of fear. Right, like that. I love that. Fearless dads, fearless fathers. That's exactly it, right? When we make decisions based off of fear, it is always going to be limited. Rather, make our decisions based off of what is possible. Understand that you, as a father, you are your kid's superhero, and kids don't listen to what you tell them. They will model what you do. The best education that you can provide them is having them see you live your life, right? They will not listen to any advice. I promise you that. The way they see you interacting with people, the way they see you at the grocery store, at the bank, at doing business, taking a phone call, all of that, the way you show up, they will unconsciously, subconsciously model that, right? And if you're living a life that is based on what's possible while mitigating and accounting for the things that can go wrong, right? You're leading with what's possible. I mean, you are definitely the superhero that your kids want you to be and need you to be. So
exactly,
that's my goal.
I love it. That's a big golden nugget and absolutely right on the money. So I'm glad I asked that question. Mohammed, for those that want to get to know you better, want to follow you more, want to learn more about what you just shared, because this was just a simple exercise that we did. We did a couple of exercises as well when we were on the event, which were mind-blowing.
Yeah.
For anybody that is listening, I highly recommend checking Mohammed out. I'm going to share the website again so you guys can see it. This is in the description section also, so you can just click on it and run with it. But what are other ways to connect with you?
Yeah, get me on Facebook. I think this is going to go on Facebook, so just literally send me a friend request. On Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm probably on TikTok too now.
Oh, okay.
I'm having some fun with that. We'll see how that goes, right? But honestly, the best way to connect with me is I love to chat about this stuff. I love to talk about this stuff. So if you have any questions, guys, like seriously, and I'm being very genuine with this, shoot me an email. Let's connect. Let's get on a Zoom call, right? It's the best way. I try to make myself available as much as possible, right? And if you guys are interested in taking this to the next level, like I have a whole program around this, which I with all the people that are teaching NLP and hypnosis and stuff, I don't really see anyone that's doing it in the way that I'm sort of doing it, because my focus is on actual personal development, right? So it's like a hybrid of training and one-on-one coaching too. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. But yeah.
Absolutely. Again, I highly recommend it. I mean, as I said, I had the pleasure of meeting Mohammed face-to-face, one-on-one, and getting his training and then connecting with him on a more personal level as well. So I highly recommend you reaching out to him. You will not regret it at all. Mohammed, thank you so much for taking the time for hopping on. I really appreciate it, and I really enjoyed the nuggets that you share with us. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, Klaas, I love your mission, everything that you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. And everybody watching this, I appreciate you. Make sure to hit that heart button as many times as you can. Show Mohammed some love for the golden nuggets that he shared. And if you found value in what he shared, know that there are more people that will find value in this. And make sure to share this, because after all, if we share, and you said that at a certain point, the more you give, the more you will get, right? Something in that direction.
Yeah, that's one of my things, you know, the more you help other people find success, right? That's kind of how I've operated my entire life. And it's you know, like this relationship is just so organic, right? What you and I share. And it's just because, you know, we're both operating from this place of just getting the work out there, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Love it. All right, people. Have an amazing rest of the day, and we will see each other very soon on the next live. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.